Hello my friends and happy Wednesday. It's not our usual night for videos, but we've been doing things a little bit outside the box, and we just decided we're going to be doing more videos a little bit outside the box. It'll be a surprise, but all will be revealed really soon. In the meantime, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and we are full on in holiday season, so happy holidays. And we are going to be making icicles. So we have already made some icicles this season, but you know, you can never really have enough icicles. This is one of the icicles we've made a couple of weeks ago, and this time, actually we made several icicles a couple of weeks ago. We made the Christmas tree icicle, so this is from a previous video. We made a moonlit snowball icicle. What else did we make? We made what is this one?
New Year's Christmas Eve icicle.
Christmas Eve icicle. I couldn't remember if we just called it Christmas Eve icicle. I do know we actually have this icicle in both green and red. And tonight, my friends, we are making a whole new set of icicles. We are making Maui icicles. Did you know they're Maui icicles? But they're not made out of ice. So these are my Maui icicles, and in the true Maui spirit, I named them for flowers. So we have a forget-me-not, and we have bird of paradise. And then we have something a little bit closer to a traditional icicle, and this is the chandelier icicle. Actually, it's the vintage chandelier icicle, and you can see how this really looks like the whole thing looks like a vintage chandelier, and specifically the component at the bottom is actually a chandelier component.
Althea says, hi all beading friends.
Hello Althea, I'm so glad you joined. And then we have another moonlit icicle, and this time it's moonlit as opposed to moonlit snowball icicle, because you can never really have enough of moonlit icicles. And then we have the tea rose icicle. I really love the tea rose icicle. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this, but last year at holiday time, we went to a party at a friend of mine's house, and she had this just an over-the-top pink Christmas tree, and I thought it was fabulous. It was just so fun, and it was like literally this color pink. So this year, this is the second all pink ornament that I have made because I was just so very inspired by her tree. And Pam, if you've watched this video, you know I'm talking about you. Okay, ladies. So we are going to let's first put away the icicles that we made in a previous video, and now I am going to get started.
Kim says hello.
Hi Kim, and happy Wednesday to you, my friend. So again, this is not the usual time when I normally do these videos. This is definitely a little bit outside the box, but you know, it's kind of fun to mix things up a little bit. So I'm so glad you guys are finding my video. Hopefully a few more beading friends will find us, And in the meantime, I'm just going to set a few things up.
Kathy K says, good evening, everyone.
Hi, Kathy, and thanks for joining us. Again, thank you for finding us on a different night of the week. Okay, ladies, so I'm super excited about my tea rose icicle. I know it's not exactly traditional, but I just think it's so lush and so fun. And it is made with Swarovski vintage components. And I have some vintage rondelles in here, and the little teardrop is also Swarovski. So this one is very special, I think.
Vanessa says, hi, everyone.
Hi, Vanessa, and thanks for joining us. So I will start with the tea rose icicle, and I will demo the order for all of them. However, I will not do a full demo for all 5 because, you know, they're very similar. And one thing we want to remember when we're working with memory wire, so this is the memory wire we're going to be using for, to string all our beads on. So this is actually a very heavy memory wire. It comes straight. And whenever you work with memory wire, please just remember to not use your good cutters when you do this. So one thing that's really important to remember is that we have made this very easy. Each icicle has its own length of wire. So for example, oh, these are very similar. Okay, let me find one that's a little bit longer perhaps. Okay, maybe this guy. So you can see how this one, here, let me put it right here. You can see that the one on my right is so much longer, and that is because it goes to the Moonlit Icicle. So we actually have pre-cut them to the exact length you're going to need for each icicle. So you should not really have a need to cut these. So, but just in case, if you want to cut them for whatever reason, make sure you use a cutter that is intended for memory wire. In the meantime, I'm just going to make a 90-degree angle because I'm getting ready to make a little loop at the bottom or at the top, who knows.
Vanessa says, I just love that pink one. So different.
Oh, thank you so much, Vanessa. I have to say, I am so into the pink one as well. So I made a 90-degree angle, and now I'm going to make a little loop. And I'm doing that with my round nose pliers. And those of you who've watched my other videos working with memory wire, you already know that it's very difficult to get this little loop closed. So I don't know if you guys caught that. My tool slipped a little bit, and this is like the first time. I don't know what happened there, but I am actually thinking, you know what I'm thinking? If you have any tools that are coated with Tool Magic, it may be beneficial. I mean, this is the first time I've ever had this type of an issue with my tools slipping, but if you have your tools coated with Tool Magic, and some people do, you might just use the coated tools for this. Although, I mean, this was just kind of a little bit of a fluke. So, as I was saying, when you make a loop, you can see how I left mine open, and that's not because, just for fun so that I could demo, but it actually is very difficult to close the loop just with your round nose pliers. So the better way to do it is you get it to this point where it's just a little bit open, and then you complete the loop just by giving it a little friendly squeeze with your crimper. The crimper works super well for something like this.
Althea says I might use the tea rose for a sun catcher later in the spring.
You know what? I think that's lovely because, outside of the Christmas season, it does not look like an icicle. It does look like a sun catcher. So here are all my lovely little sparkly beads that I'm going to be using for this. And I'm thinking, let's just go ahead and find the teardrop and get this one onto the loop. So you will find that with the tea rose icicle, I included this little jump ring, and we are going to use the jump ring to connect our teardrop to the rest of the icicle. So as usual, I'm using my flat nose and my chain nose pliers, and I'm just going to open this jump ring just like that, like we always do, without making the diameter larger. And this little jump ring is just really perfect to slip into the teardrop. So look at the very, very pretty little teardrop. It is a Swarovski teardrop. And we are going to connect it to our icicle via the loop we just made.
Lori says, hello, Irina, Tony, and everyone.
Hi, Lori, and thanks for joining us. I'm glad you found us. It is a different day, so I was wondering if everybody would find us, and I'm very pleased to know that you guys are here, and hopefully a few more people join. And so here we go. Here is our little teardrop. And now we're just going to go ahead and string all the other beads following a very similar, or really the same order. So we have a Swarovski. There are actually a lot of Swarovski beads in this project. And so I have the Swarovski round 6mm bead at the bottom. And then I have the rhinestone rondelle. And that is going to be followed by a marguerite and another rondelle and another marguerite. It's a very simple to follow pattern, and a rondelle, and our last marguerite on this side of the flower. And then, so this is the key, ladies. So this is a Swarovski flower, and I have taken out the centers out of these Swarovski flowers so that we're left with a hole that goes all the way through. So in order for this to sit correctly on the memory wire, it sort of has to nest. And in order for it to nest, it has to have a round bead right next to the flower component. So this is the pattern so far. I'm just going to look at my sample, and yes, it is the pattern. I just verified it. So we're going to end with the round bead, okay? So that's important. And now that we have the round bead on the wire, we're going to go through the flower, and it nests really, really perfectly. So we're going to follow that with the second flower right away. And
so those go back to back?
Yes, they are indeed back to back.
Can we see that?
You bet. So this is how they go together. So we have one flower facing down toward the teardrop, and the other flower is facing up in the opposite direction. Okay, so this is what we have. And we're just going to mirror the same exact pattern on the other side of the set of flowers. So again, we have the round bead, which is nesting inside the flower. And then we're going to have a rondelle and a marguerite and another rondelle and another marguerite. I know I sound like a broken record, but that is the entire pattern, you know, just rondelles and marguerites and another little 6mm round, and that's it. That's all there is. And now we're simply going to make another loop and we're done. So I always make it a point to not be directly right next to the top bead, because we don't want to crack the bead. So once I made the bend, I am simply going to use my round nose, and I'm being, you know, I'm doing this very slowly and deliberately. I'm making the loop at the top of the 6mm round bead, and you know what? I probably could have made the bottom loop just a little bit smaller. Maybe I was just a little generous with the bottom loop. So I made the top loop a little bit smaller. And either way, whichever loop is larger, it's perfectly fine.
Lori's wondering if she missed the moon icicle.
Not yet, Lori. I actually just started the demo. So we have just completed the Rose Icicle, and we can make the moon icicle next. What do you think? Should we make the moon icicle? Let's do it. You know, these are so very, very quick to make. I almost just want to make all of them, but I'm not going to make all of them, but I will show the order of every one of them. So, but you know, since you mentioned the moon icicle, let's do that one next. So,
Lori says thank you.
my pleasure, Lori. Is that your favorite one, the moon icicle? I kind of love everything moon. So, you know what? I can already tell that I have the wrong wire. I think I grabbed the wrong wire for the moon icicle. So that's making me a little unhappy. Okay, this is what we'll do. We will demo the order of all of our beads for the moon icicle, but I'm pretty sure that the wire I have is actually for this icicle right here. You know what? I might actually have the moon icicle wire right in this room. Let me just check very, very quickly.
Em says, looks like I'm missing this live. I'm out shopping for Christmas.
Oh, Em, enjoy. And you know, you can always re-watch later. We archive all of our videos, so you should be able to re-watch anytime you want at your convenience. Okay, so much better, you guys. I'm so happy. Since I said I'm going to demo the moon icicle, let's just do it, shall we? So you can see how this one is so much longer. I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so now it's all good. And we're going to do the same exact thing. We are simply going to make a 90-degree angle in the wire. And remember how I slipped before? So my suggestion was either use what is it?
Tool Magic.
The Tool Magic, yes. You know, that rubbery stuff that coats your tools and it makes everything very non-slip. However, if you don't have Tool Magic, just do what I'm doing. Earlier, I was holding it a little bit closer to the tip. However, if you hold it a little bit more in and further away from the tip, it's like butter. Okay, so that is how you do it. And so I just did the same exact thing. I made a 90-degree angle. Now I'm going to make a loop using my round nose pliers. So when I make that very first loop, I'm very casual. I'm not really, I'm not thinking about protecting any beads, breaking anything. So you can do this very casually, very quickly. However, once you have your beads on here, that is when you want to be extremely careful because, of course, the beads are glass. So I made my loop, and just as before, the first thing I'm going to do, and you don't have to do it in the same exact order, but I don't know, it just makes me happy to see that moon hanging from the loop right away. And we're going to grab our flat nose pliers and our chain nose pliers. And I always open my jump rings like this by holding the pliers at a 90-degree angle.
Lori says, I also love everything with a moon.
Oh, thank you, Lori. Me too. I love moons. They're just so poetic, and I always look up at the sky to see what phase the moon is in. So, as you can see, I'm just connecting the moon to the wire with the jump ring the same way, except this time the jump ring, of course, is a little bit larger to accommodate the bigger component. And now we're just going to string all of our beads in the same order as my sample. So the first bead I string on is the teardrop, and the teardrop is upside down. Okay, so the skinny part of the teardrop, end of the teardrop, is facing the moon. And then we have our asymmetrical spacers. And we are going to string our large faceted rounds and asymmetrical spacers until we have 1, 2, 3 rounds. So all of the asymmetrical spacers are facing in the same direction so far. They're facing such that the small end is pointed down and the larger end is pointed up. Once you get to the center bead, which is going to be your third round bead, so once you get to the center bead, you simply change the direction of the asymmetrical spacer so that the center bead is being framed by the 2 spacers. And so now going forward, as we space the round beads, our asymmetrical spacers are going to have so the skinnier part of it is facing up and the larger part of it is facing down. And this way we just create symmetry. And now we are going to string. I don't know why I have a couple of extra spacers, but it's always better to have more than not enough. So we're just going to put these away. And this is what it looks like. Sometimes, when Bonnie gets me my little assortments for the demo, sometimes she'll throw in a few more parts, just in case. So yay, thank you, Bonnie. So this is what it looks like. We have our moon and all of our other fun blingy components. And now we're going to make the loop at the top. And actually, this is something I'm going to say. So I have heard from a couple of people who had a little bit of a difficult time making the loop at the top. And maybe 1 or 2 people actually broke the bead at the top, which is why I'm actually going to give you a little bit more how can I say this? Like break this into even more minutia of a step, so that we don't have little sad broken beads, right? So this is very important. So first of all, when you are ready to make that top loop, just be really, really aware of the bead being breakable. So first, we're going to leave a little bit of a space. Okay, so my tool is not right next to the bead. It's a little bit away from the bead so that I have maybe like 2 millimeters. And then even more importantly, as I bend the wire, so if you kind of watch me, look at me bend the wire. So I'm bending the wire, and I might even break this step into a few steps. So I bend it just a tiny little bit, and then I'm going to grab the wire a little bit further down and continue bending it. But most importantly, in order not to break this top bead, be sure not to push the wire against the bead. I think that as jewelry makers, we're so very, very used to working with, I'll bend this a little bit more even. So when we make jewelry and we work with head pins, we work with ball pins, we're so used to just kind of push the wire against the bead and it bends and everybody's happy and the bead is still happy, it's intact. But with memory wire, it's very, it's very hard wire. It's made out of steel, and it's very easy to break your top bead if you're pushing it this way. So if anything, as I bend my wire, I almost kind of like push it in the opposite direction. So if I'm bending the wire this way away from me, I'm also pushing it a little bit towards me so that I don't break it. I don't know if that made any sense. Did it make sense, you guys? Tony's making a face like, yeah, it makes sense to him. So please give me a little bit of feedback. Did this make sense to you? So I'm just going to make a loop in the meantime. And I had quite a bit of wire left over, so this is going to be a larger loop, and that is fine, you know, whether it's a smaller loop or a larger loop, they will all work.
Lori says yes.
Okay, thank you, Lori. I love feedback. So we just made another icicle. And we'll put it right here next to its friends. And so I really love how this one turned out, and I almost want to demo it also, but actually I probably don't have to demo it unless, let me know if you want me to demo the chandelier icicle. Otherwise, I'm just going to show you the order of beads. So I will just say that the chandelier icicle is made exactly like the Moonlit Icicle. In terms of, there are really no hidden beads, there's nothing that does not meet the eye in this one. The chandelier component is attached in exact same way with a jump ring. And the only thing that is different is that we don't have the asymmetrical spacers, but we do have just the regular rondelles. And I made that choice because I absolutely adore how these rondelles separate the larger crystal beads. I think that just looks so good, and it doesn't need anything else. So having said all of that, I'm going to make a loop. It's really going to be for one of these icicles. In the meantime, if you guys want to vote on which one we're going to have a demo for, please vote either for for Bird of Paradise, which is the yellow-orange, just like the flower, Bird of Paradise, or for Forget-Me-Not, which is the kind of aqua blue or sky blue, just like the flower, Forget-Me-Not.
Jeline says, hello, I'm late.
Hi, Jeline. Well, I'm so glad you joined us. Better late than never, right?
Kim R says, it made sense to me. I think another way to say it would be keep the wire in the center of the bead's hole as much as possible to keep pressure off of the bead.
I think that's absolutely lovely. Really, really well said. And I will add to that it'll be really hard, like keeping it exactly in the center. So if you actually want to almost push the wire in the opposite direction as you're bending it, it will work out nicely. But that was really good. I'm hoping, Kim, that between what I said and what you said, it is perfectly clear. And thank you so much. That was a good way to put it. So I'm going to make one of the Maui icicles. But in the meantime, before I do, I will, after I make the loop, I'm just going to show you the order of the beads in the chandelier icicle. So in the meantime, we're making a loop just like we made all the other loops. And again, we're going to close it with our crimper. And I slightly overlapped it, so I'm just course correcting. So we have a loop. And then this time, if we were actually making the chandelier icicle, I would connect the little chandelier component.
Kim R says, thank you.
My pleasure, Kim. Thank you, actually. Okay, so the chandelier component is literally like a 1-minute project. So we have that beautiful, very elegant, skinny cone. And then we have the rhinestone rondelle, one of the large faceted beads, another rhinestone rondelle. So we're just spacing all of our beads with the rhinestone rondelles. And
Kim R says, the chandelier icicle is spectacular.
oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm very, very fond of this one. I love this one. And so now we're just going to put our last cone on here. And actually this length is almost good for this icicle as well. But I'm going to use my wire to create one of the Maui icicles. So in the meantime, I'm just showing you the order of beads. I mean, it's just so very, very simple and so very, very intuitive. So I think we can take all these off and move on to the Maui icicle. So since we have a couple, I am just going to vote for, let's see, I don't know, which one do I want to vote for? Maybe I'll vote for, I don't know, it's hard to pick. I'll vote for the Forget-Me-Not. And here we go. We have all of our beads for the Forget-Me-Not. Oh, and well, you know, this is kind of ironic. It's Forget-Me-Not, and I did forget one thing. The difference, there's just a slight difference between making the Forget-Me-Not or in either one of the Maui icicles versus the chandelier or the Moonlit Icicle, is that there's no additional jump ring. So no worries. We are just going to open this up a little tiny bit, just like we normally do with loops. We'll just do this to the side. But you know, hopefully you don't forget, and then you won't even need to open the loop. you just, as you're making the loop, before you crimp it with your crimper, before you close it, just put the little flower on.
Kim K says, hi everyone. Late again. Gorgeous icicles.
Thank you so much, Kim. I really appreciate that. Okay, ladies. So the thing that's a little different about this set of icicles is that, as usual, I have to give you a little disclaimer that comes with a story. So the way that furnace glass are made, and if you've been watching me for a while, you know exactly what I'm going to say. The way that they're made is they make this big glass bubble, and then they will elongate the bubble and stretch the bubble and make it really, really long. And as you stretch the bubble, there's literally air in the bubble. And the air in the bubble becomes the hole in your bead, because eventually they have this very, very long piece of glass with the hole in the center, and they take a saw and they cut it apart and then they polish it. And so the reason I'm telling you this entire story is because if you look very, very closely, some of the holes are going to be quite a bit smaller than the other holes. So generally the beads that are at the ends will be a little bit larger with a little bit larger hole. The beads that are at the ends of this long bubble, right? So because we have all these differently sized holes, we are going to use an extra little piece of wire. And this extra little piece of wire, you know what? If you remember, this is exactly how we made the Christmas tree icicle. So this one has been so very popular. I decided to make some friends for it. And the Maui icicles are the friends. So it's going to be made very, very similarly. However, some of you have already made this icicle and you've discovered that the holes are fairly large. Well, I will tell you that the holes in the Maui icicle beads are just a little bit more inconsistent. So as you wrap the wire, I mean, there's really nothing difficult about this, but as you wrap the wire, you might want to do this a little bit experimentally, and just keep in mind that some beads may have a slightly larger hole or smaller hole than its friends. So I made a little coil at the base of my memory wire, and this is 26 gauge wire. It is artistic wire. It's perfectly fine to cut it with your regular cutter because that is not memory wire. So we are going to just pinch the little end down so that it's not sticking out. And then we are going to start putting our beads on the memory wire. And the way I do it is I put it on, I string the furnace glass bead on first, and clearly that went on rather nicely. And I'm just going to continue. So what you might want to do is just kind of look at the holes, and I can already tell that most of them are going to need the same treatment. So I'm just going to continue. Oops, and my little coil just slipped. Not a problem. So I'm just going to continue coiling like this and adding my beads spaced with the rhinestone rondelles. I have these big, beautiful rhinestone rondelles that I'm putting in between the beads. And you're probably wondering, so what is different? Well, you will see in just a moment. So we're going to continue stringing our furnace glass beads. And okay, this one just got stuck. So, and that's exactly what I was talking about. I was talking about the difference in hole sizes. So I do have a remedy for this, but in the meantime, let's use the beads that will go on really easily. So we will just sort of experimentally put our beads on. Whatever goes on, great. Whatever does not, we're going to save for the very end. And this is just the nature of our furnace glass beads. They're never ever going to have exactly the same size holes. So look at how pretty this is with the sparkly spacers in between the beads.
Lori says, I have so much furnace glass, I never would have thought of using some of these beads for an icicle. And I have the flowers too.
Awesome! Yay, Lori, make some beautiful icicles for the holidays. Oh, and okay, don't do that. I didn't mean to have two spacers in a row, but that is because I'm chatting a lot. So right now I'm just trying to find the furnace beads with the slightly larger holes. And of course, our spacers also have larger holes, which is really helpful for this type of a project. Okay, so these two may not fit onto the wire with the coil going around, but let's just do this a little bit experimentally so that we know how to proceed. I know I don't have the spacer on just yet. I'm doing this a little bit experimentally because now you can see this just does not want to go on. No worries. So, and I can tell that my two remaining beads have pretty small holes. So I won't actually need all of this coiling. No worries. Let's hide the coiling. Did you guys see what I just did? I just pushed all of the coiling into this bead. It just sort of disappeared like magic, right? Tony is amazed. I wish you guys could see his face. It's like I just pulled a rabbit out of my hat. So we're going to continue, and so at this point we actually don't even need any more of the coiling. So we could do one of two things. We could either, so let me show you both ideas and you can use whichever one you like. So we could keep our wire and just simply not coil it. And when it's not coiled, obviously it doesn't add quite as much width. And so our next bead just very simply slips over it. And we're going to put our last little rondelle on our memory wire. And so again, we could either just hide the wire inside this next bead, or we could make our last little coil, push it in, and just cut off the remaining wire. But that is only because I can already tell that I have a tiny little hole on my last bead and I just don't need the coiling. So the only reason for the coiling is that we have larger holes And we don't want our beads to kind of wibble wobble, right? So, so we want them to sit on our memory wire, really, I don't know, what's the word here? What am I thinking?
Snugly.
Snugly, thank you. That's a good word. Yes, so, and there we go. That is, okay, it wants to flip-flop. So that is the end of how we make this icicle. There's not a whole lot more to it. So, and of course we would make another loop at the top, but I think I'm just going to skip that because we already made so many loops today with memory wire. So what do you guys think? Do you have any questions? Do you have any comments? Do you have any suggestions for future videos? And so we have all the icicles that we made today. Okay, so in the meantime, I suppose I'm just going to put the other icicles with their friends, even though I am really running out of room. So in the meantime, ladies, I do have some previews for you. And I'm very excited, actually. We have been doing all these extra events this holiday season. And we just decided today we're going to be doing more extra events. We're going to do something that we have never done before. But first, let me tell you what is coming up in the next few days.
Kim K says it's hard to pick a favorite.
Oh, thank you so much, Kim. That's always such a good thing for me to hear.
Lori says the moon and flower icicles are my favorite.
I would say my favorite are the tea rose and the chandelier. I don't know. There's just something about the chandelier that and the tea rose too, actually, that I'm just so into this. And I don't know, I've never been a pink girl before, and somehow this holiday season I have just really been into pinks. It's been making me super, super happy. So there's the tea rose, and then, you know, I mean, they're all my babies, and I love them all, but this chandelier icicle is making me so happy. What do you guys think? So there's something a little bit old-fashioned about it, and it literally looks like it was taken from a chandelier. It's also very elegant. I think it's the most elegant one of the icicles that I made this season. Okay, ladies, so here we go. This is what is coming up in the next few days. Tomorrow, please join me for a whole like blizzard of snowflakes. So we're going to be making these festive, very full snowflakes. We call them shimmering snowflakes, and they're two-sided. So this is what they look like on both sides, and I have them in 6 different colors. They're super, super fun to make, and they're actually a lot easier than they appear. A friend of mine actually had this idea, and she showed me, and I kind of ran with it and made it my own. And here, let's do this. I'm just going to put these with the icicles, and we have like a whole party of icicles and snowflakes. So I have lots of different colors. And so again, we're doing this tomorrow. I still have my little spiders here. This is what we did last night. If you missed the spiders, you can always re-watch, and that was the story of the Christmas spider. And then on Friday, December 13th, at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time, please join me for the last Black Friday video. So this is going to be the last Black Friday video. We kind of ran with the Black Friday this time. And this is going to be on the Eclectica Facebook page. And so the new thing we're doing this holiday season is something totally different, and I don't know if we're going to even, we're just making this up as we go. So if you have suggestions, please let us know. Let us know your thoughts on how to do this. But our last Black Friday video, which is going to be this Friday, is also going to be our first video of 12 Days of Christmas. So we thought, let's do this kind of a fun thing, because everybody just really got excited about our Black Friday video, our Cyber Monday video, and somewhere in between there was also a Small Business Saturday video. And everybody loved that little cluster of videos for the holidays. So this is what we're going to do. As of this coming Friday, which is not the actual Black Friday, it is Friday, December 13th, we are starting a series of videos. And it's 12 Days of Christmas. We're keeping the Friday video very similarly formatted. It's going to start at 9 o'clock. And then the rest of the videos are going to start at 10 o'clock. They're going to be very, very short. This tiny. Maybe not this short, but they're going to be just 12 items. So 12 days, 12 items per day at 10 o'clock every day for 12 days, except for Fridays. There's going to be Friday the 13th, and there's going to be Friday the 21st.
The 20th.
The 20th. Yes, you're absolutely right. So, so the 13th and the 20th are both Fridays, and those days we're going to keep at the usual time. All the other days are going to be at 10 o'clock Central Standard Time. They're all going to be on the Eclectica Facebook page, and it's going to be just a little bit different because they're probably going to be more like, I don't know, half an hour videos, and give or take. And we'll just see how it goes. We've never done this before. We're pretty excited. So please let us know what you would like to see. And if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, I would love to hear from you.
Kim R says it's classic. That's in reference to one of the chandelier icicle, I think.
Yeah, she's talking about the classic chandelier. Ta-da!
And Kim K says, thanks so much fun to come.
Yay, thank you so much, Kim. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. Again, I'm always appreciative, especially when you find me on a weird night. Because, not everybody's used to checking the events, so please do check the events. We have like a schmillion of events coming up. More accurately, 12? No, more than 12, because we're still going to have the Thursday night videos. But then, for 12 Days of Christmas, we're also going to have the 10 o'clock a.m. videos. So that is the plan.
And those events will be going up very soon.
Yes, we literally just decided that we're doing this today. So those events will be going up very soon. So please go to the event page, check them out. Let us know if you're coming. We would love to see you. And again, we would love some feedback.
Althea says, 12 days, how fun.
12 days. It's like this many and 2 more.
Kim R says, something to look forward to every day. Very exciting.
Oh, yay. Thank you so much.
And Lori says, thank you, Irina.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today. and have a wonderful and creative evening.